Hey, welcome into a live Locked On Lions squad show. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. The Lions survive at Ford Field. A win is a win is a win, Natalie Kerwin.
You stole my line. I have to say it for Bradford too. I knew that was coming. My heartbeat, which I still can feel right here through my chest, right here on the side of my throat. I'm still, heart palpitations are still there. But yes, a win is a win.
Hey, look, they outlasted the Giants and then kept the momentum churning at Ford Field today, and they kept their streak alive. It now goes to 55 straight games without back-to-back losses.
One pride. It's the Lions Squad. Everything Detroit Lions every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Motor City. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. From the roar of the Lions to the next great chapter, the Lions Squad Show starts now.
Well, yes, it does. Welcome into a live Locked On Lions squad show. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. The show begins right now. Everybody catch your collective breath. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use that code LOCKEDON NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And, we've got a great show lined up for you, but this one might go off the rails the same way this game went off the rails because it was a roller coaster ride up and down. Jameis Winston is catching touchdown passes, throwing for touchdown passes, but in the end, a wild ride at Ford Field results in the Lions winning in overtime. So, Natalie Kerwin, I kick it to you first. Were you punching things? Were you throwing things at the television? Were you slamming things the same way I was? But in the end, the Lions get their 7th win of the season.
Yeah, for every part but overtime. I mean, during the actual game, yes. During, the few minutes of overtime, the goodness that we got from Jahmyr Gibbs and the sack from Aiden Hutchinson, there was celebrations here in the Kerwin household. But all the other parts of watching this game today, no. A win is a win, and I am happy that the Lions won, but I am not happy with the play of this team. It did not look like today they came out with any fire, any grit that they pride themselves on. This was not the typical Lions team that we have been praising week after week. The defense, we have talked about how much they have stepped up, right? No matter if guys have been hurt. We talked about the Legion of Whom, stepping up in place of Kirby Joseph in that secondary. We've talked about just those guys making a name for themselves, and I felt like they were nowhere to be found. I mean, Thomas Harper had one big play today, but it's like it was just hard for me to look at a guy like Jameis Winston, backup quarterback, who's absolutely torching the Lions defense all night long. Jahmyr Gibbs put this team single-handedly on his back, and he is honestly the reason that the Lions were able to win this game today and could take this one to overtime. So I have a lot of frustrations in this one. Happy they got the dub, but not happy in the way they did it.
You can say right now, the Lions have lost their mojo, and they need to find a way to get it back. Now, hopefully they can eat some turkey legs on Thanksgiving Day versus Green Bay, but they need to find it before they play Green Bay. They looked out of sync with the exception of one player, the aforementioned Jahmyr Gibbs, who put the team on his back. The defense did not prevent big plays, and the Giants, credit to them for dialing up the trick plays that ended up working out very well for them. And then I just want to make this point. Hats off to Muhammad for the season that he has had, but he is not the answer opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Because if you watch the game, Aiden is constantly getting chipped, getting double teamed, and there are other three guys in the four-man rush who are not helping at all. They're not making their way to the quarterback. And it is quite evident that you hope that Marcus Davenport can come back and be effective, but they need help on the opposite side of 97 for this defense to be successful. Because if, at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. There were a combined over 1,000 yards of offense by both teams. And as a defensive coordinator on the Detroit Lions side and the New York Giants side, that is going to be a long shower at the end of the game. You're like, holy cow. If you're Shepard, you're thinking to yourself, thank God we outlasted their defense. And I mean, holy cow. I mean, it was just an up and down game. And this is an experience that you hope that this team will learn from. And I know I kind of say that week after week, but you have to file all these little happenings that happen during the season. So whenever they come up again, did you learn from them? That's the question you have to ask yourself. You're happy as all get out. And I know I've talked about it before in the past because, Jake, you stole Natalie's line at the beginning of the show. A win is a win is a win. This team is now 7-4. And we're doing well in the NFC North. Now we have to continue on, and we just have to take it one game at a time. And the playoffs have already started. If you don't realize it now, because there are 6 games left to the season, plus an additional 4 games to the eventual winner of the Super Bowl. So you're looking at 10 games left in the season. And the way the Lions are playing right now, they're going to have to make it via wild card. They're not going to get the bye. We know that for a fact. And they may have to win all of their games on the road in the playoffs, if and when they make the playoffs.
No, you're absolutely right. And today was an example of needing to find a way to survive when you don't have your A game. And there's a lot of instances as we recap this instant reaction show of the Lions beating the Giants 34-27 in overtime. If you're just joining the live stream, you can catch the audio version of today's show anywhere you get your podcast. But guys, we have to talk a little bit about Jake Bates, because the Lions do not get to overtime without that clutch 59-yard field goal. I've been seeing some of the comments, and I wanted to get to it here in this opening segment, because we talk offense, we'll talk defense, but special teams saved the Lions. I think it was Liz Borelli 4847 who commented first about Jake Bates, and this one as well from Rich 8113. Without Bates, they don't get to overtime. I'll say for me, when the Lions were trying to tie that game up, go back the series before, I was shocked the Giants went for it on 4th down inside the 10-yard line. It just made so much more sense to kick the field goal, go up 6 points, make the Lions have to score a touchdown. I think the Lions got a little bit of a gift there with the Giants electing to go for it and then needing a field goal. Natalie Kerwin, what say you?
Yeah, I thought the same thing, right? Like, why not kick a field goal, take the points, and then force the Lions to have to go down and get a touchdown? I felt like they essentially were handing the Lions possibly a win on a silver platter at that point, right? Like, who knew what was going to happen at that point? But as soon as, we got the chance to go down into field goal range and for Jake Bates to have that moment, I knew, he's been up and down at times, but I just had a feeling he was going to be able to do it. And even when he kicked it, Bradford, I guess you could give us your perspective too, but it looked like it was bending wide a little bit. It snuck right in there. I'm like, okay, that's the Lions' luck, baby. I was so excited. So I know I gave a lot of praise to Jahmyr Gibbs, which obviously he's our guy of the game. But Jake Bates, man, he is the reason this team went to overtime. And that was awesome. That was great. And even when they panned over to the sideline, like Jared Goff's reaction and Dan Campbell, they were like, ooh, like everyone. They didn't know if that was going to sneak in, but it did. So the Lions got lucky there. But again, Jake, to your point, very surprised the Giants made that move at that point. So I don't know if they're going to be biting themselves for that one. I'm sure they will be.
Look, let me just cover the Bates kick first, because I just wish my golf ball would move that much to stay on the fairway whenever I would hit it off of
that's
hit it off of the tee. I just wish my ball would move that way. But the idea of the Giants going for it on fourth down, let's and do we want to talk about that drive?
Yeah, let's dive into it.
Okay, let's dive into it, because let's start at the beginning, because I believe that drive started inside the 10-yard line, if I'm not mistaken. The
Lions had the Giants backed up all game.
Could not get off the field.
Yeah.
I mean, just the third down conversion rate, and you're sitting there and you're just like, come on. And from what I saw, just the edge rushing, the ends were falling off the cliff. The edge rushers, they were falling off the cliff. They were creating these lanes for Jameis Winston to kind of escape through. And everybody knows that Jameis Winston loves to push the ball down the field. And he threw up some hope and prayers. And that little locket that he had hanging from around his neck, I mean, those prayers were answered by him, because he had some players just show up and make plays just to keep the drives alive. And I tell you, and then you go down, and Jonathan Vilma brought it up on the TV network, is why not kick the field goal here and make them score a touchdown? Your defense at that point was playing well, and to keep them out of the end zone. And if you were to kick the field goal, go up by 6, then you're like, okay, they got to drive the length of the field and score a touchdown. I have faith. And if I was Kafka, I would have gone up to my defense before they went out onto the field. I have faith in you to close out this game. Now, go show me. You've done it the entire game. Go show me. Just contain Gibbs, would you? But, once you take care of Gibbs, we can take care of the rest. All right, so let's go win this game right now. He decided to go for it. The Lions took advantage of it, and Jake Bates hit a career-long 59-yarder. My hat's off to him. Kudos.
Yeah, the overtime session, as we jump into that before to conclude this first segment, the overtime session is kind of, the Giants have a little bit of an extended drive there, and the Lions force them into a 4th and long. Jameis runs for the first down, but the way Jahmyr Gibbs just took control of that game. Of course, we'll talk more about the offense, but that is what I was expecting for the entirety of the 60 minutes. And we only really saw it in overtime as far as the Lions offense, and albeit it was just one big play. But that type of explosive nature that Jahmyr Gibbs showed time and time again today, I don't want to say the Lions offense is getting one-dimensional by any means, but it feels like Jahmyr Gibbs is the first option, the best option, and needs to be one of those instances where you obviously feed the hot hand, but other guys, I just felt like they didn't bring their A game. There wasn't a lot of life, whether it be offensively on the offensive line, Jared Goff a little bit out of rhythm, but Jahmyr Gibbs, I think you can hand him the game ball and say, thanks for the win in this one.
100%. Truly, through regulation, obviously we don't know what's going to happen, but throughout the entirety of that game, I thought this team looks a little lost. They look out of sync. They look uninspired. The only one that looked like they came out to play was Jahmyr Gibbs. And then, of course, Jake Bates being able to secure that 59-yarder was like, okay, we finally have some life. We're taking this thing to overtime. But throughout the entire game, both sides of the ball, offense and defense, I felt like they looked lost. There was no grit. They looked broken. I could throw out every adjective in the book. That's what it looked like to me. And the Giants looked like how the Lions have approached teams over the last couple of years with the 2 trick plays. And right? You know what I mean? Like, that reminded me of what old Ben Johnson play calling, right? Like, that's what it felt like to me. And Jameis Winston came in there from his pump-up speech before the game. I don't know if you guys saw that. It went viral before the game, but Jameis Winston being Jameis Winston, kind of a quirky guy, as we know. But he just came in with all this mojo, and that team looked like they came ready to play. And as we talked about on the podcast last week or earlier this week, this should have been I know Bradford hates this, but a get right game for the Lions, right? Don't cringe at me, but a game where they can reset, right? They have not lost back-to-back games since 2022. So this should have been an opportunity for them at home to just say, well, let's go out there and do what we always do. The game should not have been as close as it was. It should never have been taken to overtime. So back to original point, Jake, about Jahmyr Gibbs. Yes, he did single-handedly put this team on his back, and you do have to feed whoever's got the juice, the mojo, and that has been Gibbs for, the entirety of this season, but as of late, especially, he's been the guy, because Amon-Ra St. Brown, we'll get into it. The guy continues to drop passes, and I don't know what else to say. It's uncharacteristic of Saint. So you can that you can rely on Sonic to do his thing. And that's what he did in OT. So that was electric. That gave me some life. That helped me not have a heart attack. So it did give me a heart attack in a good way, but that helped feel like we were okay. So that's where I'm at.
I'm with you. Let's do a deep dive on the offense when we come back. The live Locked On Lions post-game show on the #1 sports podcast platform, the Locked On Podcast Network. We're just getting started right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Hey, today's episode of the Locked On Podcast Network is brought to you by our good friends at PrizePicks. That's right. How do you play? You pick more or less on your favorite players' stat projections, and you watch the winnings roll on in. We make decisions every single day, but on PrizePicks, when we're right, you get paid. Don't miss any of the excitement of this sports season, whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both. There's no better time to jump in than right now. And if you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is really simple. All you do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them right, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, and that includes California, Texas, and Georgia. I love the new stacks feature. It's a game changer, and oh yeah, pick your favorite players and watch the winnings roll on in. Plus, if one of your player leaves early with an injury, the injury reboot saves you and your lineup from a loss. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use that code LOCKEDON-NFL. That's code LOCKEDON-NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDON-NFL for $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Cruising right along on a live Locked On Lions squad show. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. If you're joining us live, let your voice be heard. We'll mix in some comments here as we go along. But time for a deep dive on the offense. Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. Lots to take away from this one. You end up scoring 34 points. I think the overtime session certainly helped with that. Some good, some bad. Bradford Banta, I'll start with you. What stood out to you?
Just looking at the stat sheet, we're talking about Amon-Ra. It's all about timing, right? He was targeted 13 times with 9 catches for 149 yards with 16.6 yard average, long gain of 30 and 1 TD. You look at that, but it just didn't show. It really didn't hit you. And then shout out to him for on his touchdown for a little ode to Victor Cruz with his salsa dance. So that, you gotta give a little shout out there. And I tell you, I said it last week, and it's going to be a concern of mine until he can do it on a consistent basis, is J-Mo catching the ball with his hands. Yeah, that is a concern. He leaves this game. He was targeted 3 times with 0 catches. We didn't try to beat him deep, and I think the New York Giants did a good job with their coverage and taking that away. And we are going to cover Jahmyr Gibbs exclusively in the performance that he put in. 219 yards rushing, 45 yards receiving. Holy cow! I would put him in bubble wrap for the rest of the week and just give him treatment So just to make sure he's at 100% come this Thursday. That's how I would treat him right now. He would be getting a full police escort to his house. I would make sure he has soothing music to get all the sleep he needs and show up the next day. Man, you're our guy. And he proved that today. I thought, with the touches that Montgomery had today, I mean, it was a workman type day. But Jameer had the hot hand. And whenever we get to the play of golf, I mean, we're used to his rating being over 100. It was at a 91.3 today. He was, in completion percentage, he was 66.7. But he really didn't take any deep shots. He averaged 6.6 yards per attempt. And compared to Winston, who was at 10.2. And we've talked about it. I mean, that's what Jameis does, is pushes the ball down the field. But we were talking about the Detroit Lions here. They definitely miss Sam Laporta and his ability to find the soft spot. Now, Brock Wright does a good job in his own, no pun intended, right. But he's not Laporta.
Right.
There's a reason Laporta was drafted in the first round, and Brock Wright wasn't. But the Lions are doing the best that they can, and we said it last week, and Vilma brought it up, and he was talking about the Giants. At some point, you can't put everything on the coaches.
Yeah, I heard that. Yep.
And you have to rely, the coaches are putting you out there because, one, they believe in you, and two, they're expecting you to make plays. So the belief part is true because you're out on the field. They have the best 11 out on the field at that time. The second part is they're expecting you to make plays. So whenever the time comes, and this is all 11 out on the field, make the play, because they have put trust in you, and you have put time in this organization, and you have bought into the culture. So it's time to start making plays and buckle up for a playoff run for the final 6 games of the season.
Well, with Jahmyr Gibbs, I like what you had to say about putting him in bubble wrap, because I think that they absolutely need to do that. We got to protect that man at all costs throughout the rest of the season. Specifically with Jared Goff, though, I think I want to focus on him for a second. I feel like the last couple of weeks, we haven't seen him get into as much of a rhythm or a flow, and a big part of that is because of the line in front of him. And they had their big struggles today, and they have the last couple of weeks. They were obviously exploited last week too against a really good Eagles defense. And so it's hard because I think he's struggling with not having a lot of time to go through his progressions and have the time to make the right plays. He's being forced to make quick decisions. I think they allowed, was it 3 sacks today? I think on him. I don't have all the stats up, but I think he looked really visibly frustrated when they kept showing, shots of him sitting on the sideline. And I think it's a big change this year when Frank Ragnow, retired unexpectedly. And I think getting used to a newer offensive line in front of him, it's been a work in progress this season. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on this, but I just can tell that he's been frustrated with it. And we know he's not a guy that is as mobile as other great quarterbacks that we see in this league. He has other attributes that he brings to the game that aren't that. And he's a guy that needs more time. And I feel like he's been rushed a lot. And so he's overthrowing guys. I feel like it's a domino effect. And games are won or lost in the trenches too, right? So I feel like
where they start. Yeah, that's where they start.
So I feel like the O-line has struggled as well, and that's a huge part that I think we should talk about too.
There were times tonight, and I hear you, Natalie, and I I picking up what you're putting down, and I don't know if anyone else felt this way, but even when Jameer wasn't breaking out, and even sometimes with David Montgomery, it still felt like there was 3 or 4 yards a pop there at any given time on the ground. And sometimes each game can take its own personality where it's not necessarily the sexy play calls, but if you're picking up 3-4 yards on the ground and just staying to that, I felt like the Lions didn't necessarily, and it's the big running plays will totally mask this on the stat sheet, because when you look at it, you say, Jake, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Jameer Gibbs had 219 yards rushing, and the Lions as a team had 237 yards rushing. But it just felt like that can, and Jonathan Vilma talked a little bit about this, where that can be this Lions offensive identity, is just maintaining and owning that ground game so that Jared Goff doesn't feel like he has to be Superman from time to time. So now you're still, it's 2025. We still got to be able to complete a forward pass down the field, but that being the identity of this Lions offense. Bradford, what do you think of that? Am I off on that?
No, you're not. The Lions offense is a running game first and foremost. And then the offense builds off of that with the play action. And then you have your drop back. What I would be interested to see is how long from snap to throw we're actually holding on to the ball. That's, and granted, yes, there is a little bit of trouble up the middle with getting beat one-on-ones. And it showed a couple times whenever Goff got sacked today. But I would like to see what the time that Goff is holding on to the ball and compare that to, what the average is around the league. If that's the case, then let's stick to a little bit quicker passing game plan and get the ball out of his hands quickly, at least in the beginning of the game, to let him establish a rhythm. And then we can start working the ball down the field. But that's first, you got to start working, you got to make sure the run is going, because that's where this team this year has made their bread and butter is during the run game. And that's where these offensive linemen function best. And that's where younger offensive linemen, which we have a couple of on the offensive line, and with a new center this season, that's where they're most comfortable, is just blowing guys off the ball. And they've proven that throughout the season that they're more comfortable doing that than communicating for pass protection.
Lions beat the Giants in overtime today. If you're joining us on the live Locked On Lions YouTube page, don't forget that today's show is available wherever you get your podcasts as well. And to wrap it up on the offensive side of things, 34-27, the final in this one. Jameer Gibbs, the 219 yards rushing on 15 carries with the 2 touchdowns as well. Also had a receiving touchdown. Let's go around and just, quick turnaround Thanksgiving game against the Packers. And we know what happened the first time this Lions team played in Green Bay against the Packers. And it wasn't this past year. It was 2023 where the Packers came in to Ford Field on Thanksgiving and had their way. I mean, I, for one, and I know the quick week isn't always the best physically. It can be a tough turnaround and a big ask for these guys. But I feel like it's nice that they can, even though it was a win, they could look at the tape on this one, have a quick week and a quick turnaround to try to continue to, you guys know my favorite phrase, get right against a really good Packers team in a pivotal division game, Nat.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this case, a quick week can be beneficial because there's a lot of emotions, a lot of highs after tonight. And so I think, only a few days off, let's just roll right into it and let the other guys be inspired by this Jameer Gibbs performance and what he was able to do today. Listen, this division, the way the Bears continue to just win.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about that, but the way the NFC North is sitting right now, right? And the Packers, did they lose to Cleveland today? I wasn't even.
No, Packers beat
Packers.
Minnesota.
Or was it Cleveland? I'm sorry, Minnesota. My mind's all over the place. Obviously, this game they played Cleveland a month or two ago. Not even my mind's not even in the right spot. That's how crazy this game was. Anyway, but Packers beat Minnesota. So just the way the NFC North is, the way the division race is at right now, I think the Lions are just, again, the way this game went tonight, I think it's good that this game is only a few days away. Like, let's just keep the train on the tracks. That's how I see it. What do you think, Bradford? I do.
Yeah. No, look, there's good and bad to it. And it just from what I saw, I think the Lions made it out of this game fairly healthy. So all you're going to see this week as far as practice, it's going to be more mental reps for the players because it's going to be just walkthrough for these guys. They're going to get together tomorrow. They may buzz the tape very quickly, but they're going to have to move on to Green Bay ASAP. And they're going to get out onto the field, maybe do a little bit of movement, and they're going to start installing the Green Bay game plan tomorrow. The coaches will probably, they're going to work through the night to break down this most current Green Bay game that they just got done playing. And then they're going to formulate a game plan. They would probably already have something in mind, but not concreted in. And I would imagine that you're not going to see the final game plan until Tuesday. And they'll install first and second down. From there, they'll put in a couple of blitzes defensively. Then they'll do red zone, third down on Wednesday. And then we're playing the game. And that's how quickly this turnaround is. They will see a minimum amount of field time. Tuesday, they'll probably move around a little bit more than they did on Monday. And then Wednesday, they'll move around just a little bit, not much. You're talking a lot of just recovery for the players that played a majority of the plays today.
Let's do a deep dive on this Detroit Lions defense, what we saw today, discuss that as we continue on the post-game edition of the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. A defensive deep dive is next. Hey, today's episode of the Locked On Lions Squad Show is brought to you by our good friends over at Gametime. Yeah, the NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium, surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle between queues, login screens, and price jumping at checkout. It can be so frustrating. That's why I use the Gametime app, and it gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. What a concept. I use the Gametime app all the time. It's quick, it's easy, and the price you see is the price you pay. That's the part I love the most, because nothing worse than thinking you're getting a great deal. Then you go to checkout and you're slapped with all the different fees. Not with Gametime. They also have the zone deals where you pick the section, Gametime picks the seats, and you save big. So download the Gametime app, create an account, and use that code Locked On NFL. That's Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Promo code Locked On, LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download the Gametime app today. Lions beat the Giants in overtime. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta breaking it all down for you on the Locked On Lions Squad Show. Defensively, I guess in the end, they made enough plays to get the win. It wasn't always pretty. I think I'm going to see Jameis Winston catching touchdowns in my nightmares, or trick plays of throwing the ball back to Jameis Winston and then the long touchdown pass. But in the end, the Lions defense, and maybe in the end, Aiden Hutchinson's sack in overtime on fourth down. That's what I will hope to be seeing in my sleep. But Bradford Banta, what'd you see from the defense today?
Look, they were third down was horrible. They were 50%. The Giants were 50% on third down. The Lions need to learn how to get off the field. And let's just talk about the first drive. Whenever they had that, was that the throwback pass to Winston to Robinson, for that long pass. What happened prior to that? I don't know if you remember. It was it was probably a second or third and 4 on one of the prior plays. And Aiden saw the play clock running down to 0, so he decided to take off. And they called him for offsides. That extended the drive. I don't know what was going to happen on that play that he jumped offsides, but it's just one of those things. And then we had another one. I think on the third drive, Brian Branch is probably going to make another donation to the Retired Players Fund for the unnecessary roughness, which extended a drive. A field goal resulted out of that.
Yeah, real quick on that. As soon as that play took place, I took note that, all right, get ready to be yelled at by fans for saying Brian Branch picks up another personal foul call.
Yeah, no, and look, I started thinking, and I was specifically thinking about you because whenever you hosted Deary's show, I mean, they were just lambasting you with negative comments towards you. But the kid makes plays, but he also makes negative plays that keeps the defense out on the field. And it's just one of those things. You take the good with the bad, and you love his fire and you love his competitive spirit, but you just got to harness it just a little bit. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, real quick, if I may, and Bradford, I love your coach's perspective, your player's perspective, and everything else on this. And the people I was watching the game with, I turned and said, like, I've seen enough data. Like, I think Brian Branch is hurting this team. He makes a lot of plays, but I've seen enough to where somebody has to step in. And again, and cue the comments coming my way. And as you so eloquently put it, being lambasted with comments, because I will. But I've seen enough. He's too good of a player. This is not me saying he's a bad player. This is me saying he's too good of a player for this to be a weekly discussion. Something has to be said. Something has to be done. Someone has to get through to him to somehow make the changes necessary so that we're not having this conversation week after week after week. So is it a position coach? Is it a teammate? Is it Dan Campbell? How can we take the next step, or how can the Lions and Brian Branch individually take the next step to go from a really good player that makes a lot of boneheaded plays and hurts his team to being the all-pro player that is a leader on the field and doesn't hurt his team? And I'm not the crazy one. Please tell me I'm not the crazy one for wanting that.
No, you're not. And this is a tough conversation that teammates need to have with him. Is it
teammates? Is it peers?
Yeah, no, it's teammates, and it's in the locker room. And these are tough conversations, and it may result in a brawl. But at least your point is being made to your teammate. I'm sure it's been addressed by Dan. I'm sure it's been addressed by Shepard. I'm sure it's been addressed by his position coach. It may have even been addressed by Brad Holmes. I mean, and even Chris Spielman. Yeah. We'll bring him into the mix as well. But this is a conversation that has to take place in the locker room or with his teammates, and being like, dude, you're too good of a player to play that recklessly, not that recklessly, but you just have to play smarter, and I don't mind. I mean, look, I don't mind the big hits, just lower it a little bit.
Right.
That's lead with your shoulder. Don't hit him in the head.
The other unfortunate part of it is in a different era, Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, those guys were glorified and on every single highlight reel for the exact same hits. But unfortunately, the game has changed. And, I just use those two as an example, but there's lots of guys that made a living doing exactly what Brian Branch does. So this is not, it's not personal as much as people might want to say, yeah, you got it out for Brian Branch. I really don't. And Nat, I'm sorry, I've gone off on a tangent and I've directed it towards Bradford Banta, but Nat,
I'm just listening. I'm locked in right now. I'm locked on Lions.
Yeah, there you go. He's such a good player and a leader of this defense that we just can't have it. So that was obviously I took note of that, and I'm sorry I derailed us. But to your point, Bradford, there's just a lot of instances where the Lions allowed the Giants to stay on the field in some capacity or another.
Yeah, and it was just one of those where I find myself, which I almost never do. I'm talking to the TV on third down, and you're like, "Get off the field." That's all you have to do. And that was that drive where they ended up going for it on 4th and goal. That's where I was probably talking to the TV the most. And I was like, just get off the field. It's just play sound, play your defense, and get to Jameis. Don't fall off the cliff. Just do what you do best. You're out there for a reason. I'm with you, Jake. I'm talking the talk right now. So, all right.
More on the defense, Nat. I think we could talk a little bit about the lack of pressure that this defensive line struggled to generate the entire game. And the way football can be, as ironic as ever, the game ends with an Aiden Hutchinson sack. I'm critical of Aiden Hutchinson because of the status of being the highest paid player, the first overall or number 3 overall pick and first round and everything else. But I expected more from that front, given their abilities, the Giants' shortcomings on the offensive line. And until the very last play, it didn't really happen.
I know. How was it for the Lions until it was that very last play? it really is. I feel like it's how it's written in a book, right? I mean, it's like Hutch is invisible the entire game. That's what I kept saying out loud. I'm like, where's Hutch? Of course, he's getting double teamed all game, right? And it's like he has no help on the other side. But you felt like he wasn't making plays, any big plays, right, out there, any huge impactful ones at least that we normally see out of him. So for him to make the final play out there was like, okay, there's the Hutch we know and love. But, I did expect the D line to obviously come out and create pressure, and they couldn't. They gave Jameis so much time, and that allowed the Giants to have so many big chunk plays. And, not creating that pressure doesn't lead to any success. And so I was disappointed in the Lions front today. And even, I have one play written down here, going back to what you guys were just talking about too. Just as far as, what was it in the second quarter, it was one play that led to the Isaiah Hodgkins touchdown that put the Giants up 17-7. It was the busted assignment with Tyrone Tracy that led to a huge gain.
Yeah,
the linebackers missed the coverage, and Jameis had all the time in the world. Like, they were all going for Jameis, right? But Tyrone is left empty and went for, I don't even know how many yards he gained on that one, but he was totally wide open. And then the defense allowed Hodgkins to go in and get the touchdown on the very next play. So just mistakes like that, the defense staying out so long on the field, whether it was the line not creating pressure or whether it was the defense making mistakes like that and missing assignments, it just led to putting the team in a bad position overall. And so it wasn't a great recipe. Again, the Lions came out on top, but
do you think, just real quick and curious both, I'm screaming at the TV and at times, Bradford, do you think Kelvin Shepherd is a little bit stubborn with his just insisting on playing man coverage and in so many different situations? Jonathan Vilma talked about it a little bit on the telecast, and it just felt like, Amik Robinson comes to mind, having to guard some of those guys one-on-one. And we talked about how good Wendell Robinson was in this game. Sometimes there was just, when Jameis had time, and it's any NFL quarterback and his receiver, if they've got one-on-one man coverage with time to throw, they can dice you up.
Yes. Getting back to your original question, talking about being stubborn about playing man-to-man. He did switch it up a little bit in the second half. And, kudos to him for switching that up. I think it was it in the fourth quarter or was it in the overtime? I think it was in the fourth quarter whenever Amik almost had the interception whenever he was playing cover 2 corner.
Yeah.
And he read that. Yeah. And he made a fantastic play. He got a great PBU. Which is for the listening public, which is a pass broken up. So, Jake, you got me on this explanation of all my acronyms here.
I got you.
But just trying to use a little coaches speak or a little player speak whenever we're breaking stuff down. And it did look. You can honestly say that the Lions did just enough to win the game. I mean, that's what they did today, and that's what they did defensively. One of the things that I saw, whenever the Giants had a wing tight end, a tight end that was lined up in a wing position next to the tackle, whenever they were going to pass the ball, the tight end was off the ball, probably a fair amount. But whenever they were going to run the ball, that wing tight end, he was just about on the line of scrimmage. He was off the line, and what the officials look for is just a blade of grass. Is there a blade of grass between you being off the ball and being on the ball? And that's what they look for. And the Giants tried to gain as much as they could to assist themselves with blocking that play. It's just little things like that. And the Lions saw it and the defensive coaches saw it. But they, they did a pretty good job of stopping the run. They had 122 yards, the Giants did, and they averaged 3.1, per run. But one of the things that the Giants did a good job of is that they only had -6 yards for the tackles for losses against them. And that's pretty good.
I do want to highlight this one comment here because it's an internal conflict I play with myself in between, determining if it was the other team making great plays or shortcomings on the Lions end. But Riggedy Rod 9921 says, can we give props to Winston for a minute? Played loose and confident, and that was a good Jameis Winston performance. And they played like that dangerous team that I don't want to say had kind of nothing to play for, but at the same time just came out, and the trick plays were evidence to it, and even the reckless going for it on fourth down. If we're talking about them picking up that fourth down, obviously it's a different story. They played to win the game, and at no point in time did the bright lights of Ford Field and the crowd advantage and everything else and being on the road ever impact Jameis Winston and the rest of that offense. So there is an element of giving them props as another team that they drive Mercedes as well, because they're really good football players.
Yeah, well, Jameis may, but I, as a former player, I don't. So I just tell you that right now.
Bradford's rolling with the what are you rolling with? Like, don't tell me you're not driving a minivan or anything, are you?
No, it's a Yugo. Remember the Yugos? Yeah.
Oh,
so it's a 1995 Yugo.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nat, are you still rocking the Jeep Grand Cherokee?
No, I am not, and I miss it. I want to get back into the Jeep family. I'm rocking with the Dodge Durango now.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that. Yeah, don't worry. Sid stole my Jeep Grand Cherokee as well. So
I heard. You're without yours too.
Yeah. R.I.P. All right, let's close it out with our final thoughts. We'll look ahead to a short week and update everybody on our schedule as well, because we've got a different couple of weeks coming ahead on the live Locked On Lions Squad show. Short break, back with you. Live Locked On Lions squad show. Jake Riepma, Natalie Kerwin, Bradford Banta. Lions look ahead to the Green Bay Packers on Thursday, a Thanksgiving showdown. That'll be a lot of fun at Ford Field. What a wonderful tradition. So, curveball, starting it off. What's everybody's favorite Thanksgiving tradition? How about that, Natalie Kerwin?
Oh, I mean, you'd probably expect this answer, but it's watching the Lions.
I think that's a good go-to. I like
right?
it.
I mean, not everyone can say their team plays on Thanksgiving, so we're
True.
lucky. That's
We are
always my
lucky.
favorite tradition. We always get the fam to come over. We rotate between the Kerwin household, or either one set of aunt and uncles or another, and we all get around the TV and eat good food and watch the Lions get a dub. And that's
I love it.
That's what we're gonna do on Thursday.
Yeah, Thanksgiving's the best holiday for exactly that. You don't have to get anybody any presents. You don't have to abide by anything else going on. You just show up, you hang out with everybody, and you watch good football and eat good food, right, Bradford Banta?
Hey, you can't ask for anything more. My favorite tradition, so it has to be whenever I was playing and coaching for the Lions, knowing that you were going to have that. Back then, it was the 12:30 kickoff, and and then we had our dinner obviously after the game, and to have everybody in, especially whenever we were playing the Packers. A lot of my wife's family is from the Wisconsin area, so they would come in for the game as well. And you will see, if you ever see kids wearing a turkey hat from that's featured in, I want to say either Fox Sports or possibly even the Detroit Press. It's two kids that are wearing, the turkey hats. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, with the drumsticks, right?
Yeah, with the drumsticks. And one of them's rocking the Lions shirt and the other one's rocking the Packers shirt. Those are niece and nephew, or two nieces. I can't remember which one it is. But yeah, that's part of my family. And you go home and you deep fry a turkey and you sit back and you watch the afternoon and the night games and break bread with all the family, and it's a great time.
That's awesome. Tough to beat. We'll have a great Thanksgiving preview. So our new schedule the next 2 weeks, because the Lions are also on Thursday the following week against the Dallas Cowboys. So we'll do a Tuesday preview show and then, of course, a Thursday post-game show. So everybody set your alerts on the old YouTube app. I know there's a way to set the alert for when we go live. So we schedule the broadcast, you get the notification, and you join the show. My favorite, I guess it's more of a Thanksgiving memory, but fun fact, the very first time I was on the Lions radio broadcast was the Thanksgiving game, filling in for one Jim Costa as the in-game reporter. First time Dan Miller went to me, I was ready to go. I had my in-game report ready and my mic didn't work. So nice and humbled and ready to go. Tough go at it there, but we rallied, we bounced back, and then we were rolling. That would have been Thanksgiving 2022, I believe. So, and then, good times from there. I think the Lions were playing the Bears that day, but they play the Packers, and it would be a huge divisional game. But final thoughts on this one: Lions get the win in overtime at Ford Field. The Motor City Muscle. We haven't talked about the uniforms. They look good on Sunday at 1:00, and I guess maybe it helped the Lions get the win. I don't know.
What's the record in the Motor City Muscle unis? Do we know?
They they lost to the Buffalo Bills in them last year. That was one of their few regular season losses. They wore them Monday night last year against Seattle, because I believe it was last year the first year they introduced them, right?
You're right.
So I think 1-1 last year, unless they wore them any other time. I know they wore them Monday night against Seattle last year, and then against the Buffalo Bills, like I said, they lost that game. Yeah. And then they wore them against the Buccaneers on Monday night. They won that game, so that would be 2-1. They wore them today. That would be 3-1. Okay. Am I missing anyone?
I don't think so. I don't think you are. So yeah, not a huge sample size, but obviously 3-1 record is one that I will roll with. So
I missed the classics. I will say this: I missed the classics today. Something about the Honolulu blue and the silver helmet. I missed it today.
All right, what's your favorite uni combination?
I like just the classic silver helmet, Honolulu blue jersey, silver pants.
So we're talking about the throwbacks.
I do like those throwbacks.
Hey, I like the throwbacks. I think those are awesome. I remember the first time we wore those. I was playing whenever we wore those, and they broke those out, and everybody's just like, "Oh man, these are awesome."
Yeah.
That's the Barry Sanders jersey that I have.
Nice.
Oh, the throwback.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say that's probably my favorite. I am a fan of the black unis, though. I've always, before they even debuted them, I said they gotta bring these back. You know, back when they had them in what? It was the 2003 season.
What's that?
When they had the black uniforms last. So all these years that they didn't have it, and that was when they had the black uniforms.
Yeah, they had a black uniform in like early 2000s. Like,
yeah, they did.
Oh, 100% they
You're
did.
shaking your head? I swear they did.
No,
I was playing. Right. No, we did.
I swear there was.
2003. No, it wasn't.
Jake, am I wrong?
No, the Lions had a black uniform before the Motor City.
Okay.
It might have been.
I'm telling you
right now.
Between hey, I'm just telling you. Between if it had to have happened between 04 and 07. It had to happen between those years.
Hold on.
Oh yeah. No, hey, look, I'll start. Hey, 07. Justin Heck 6662.
It happened.
Production, all silver helmet with the throwbacks. That's my favorite. All right, I'm on record for saying that.
There we go. All right, hold on. I'm gonna help us all out here. It's in the background. Oh, I lost it. Hold on. Everybody hang tight here. This is what we call producing on the fly here. This is like when Natalie had her Halloween costumes that we had to use. So
okay.
You're talking to a direct witness, Nat.
I got it here. So you were right on the money, Bradford. They did wear it as an alternate from 2005 to 2007.
Thank you.
Boom.
All right, so we're all on the same page then.
Yeah, I just had to prove a point.
I love that.
What was your point?
I knew I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, I know, but you said 2000. You said 2003.
Well, I said 2003. I was close.
Yeah, you were. I got you.
I was close. Early 2000s. Anyway,
fair enough.
We're off.
Here it is.
We knew we'd get here at some point.
For all of our YouTube crowd, this won't necessarily show up in the audio only version, but here you go.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go.
That's producing on the fly. A little Calvin Johnson, Roy Williams action. And per the Google machine, I believe that is 2008. 2008. So there you go. All right. I'm glad we settled that, gang. That is the appropriate way to end the show and kind of emblematic of how the Lions were today. They ended the game with a bang, an Aiden Hutchinson sack. So for Bradford Banta, Natalie Kerwin, my name is Jake Riepma. Thanks so much for tuning in to the live Locked On Lions squad show. Have a wonderful week. We'll be with you on Tuesday, followed by our Thursday post-game show. Final words, Bradford Banta.
Let's show up on Thursday. I know the crowd's going to be into it. The team is going to need to come to play from this coming Thursday throughout the rest of the season and then carry it into the playoffs.
Let's eat some turkey legs on Thursday afternoon.
I love it. We'll get you set for that game as well on Tuesday. Make sure you set your alarm for that. For Bradford Banta, Natalie Kerwin, I'm Jake Riepma. Make sure you check out Locked On Lions with Matt Derry as well. And we will talk to you on Tuesday. See you.